This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Welcome to the World of Martial Arts podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name's Ant, and in this episode, we're looking at what seems to be a new trend, a worrying new trend, of exhibition matches featuring celebrities and athletes from other sports, and not just those in fight disciplines. In the second part of the show today, we're going to take a look ahead to what is going to be the heaviest boxing match ever. But first up on the show and on the calendar in April 2021 is a YouTuber taking on someone that has fought in the UFC. Slight difference in ability there, you would imagine. So here with me to discuss this are the usual suspects: Kurt Cornwell over in Detroit, Mick Tully in Coventry, and live in Leicester, Nathan Leverton. Nathan, why don't you start by telling us about this fight and who the YouTuber is up against?
So yeah, well, Ben Askren is coming off a very quick knockout in MMA and is a wrestler and known for his wrestling. And now he's going to have a boxing fight against Jake Paul. And that's, you know, obviously Jake Paul's been talking about having different fights and calling people out and trying to make that move. And yeah, apparently it's going to be Ben Askren, because I guess if you're going to choose an MMA fighter, you pick someone who doesn't like to strike and just got knocked out.
Nathan, is that the same? Is Jake Paul the one who was trying to call out Conor McGregor?
Yes.
So he said, I had $1 million waiting for you. McGregor lost, and he said, I got 10K for you instead. Which is not bad trash talk, but it's pretty funny if he's like, no, I really think I can take McGregor, and the next choice is a guy who just got knocked out, you said?
Well, he got knocked out. I think it's the fastest knockout in UFC history, I would think, with the jumping knee in the face. So,
well, he's Ben Askren he's great at shit talking. He's an amazing wrestler, a very, very good wrestler. He's got easily the worst striking, I think, in MMA ever. That's like his striking now in MMA is on a par with Royce Gracie. But that awful front kick that he used to throw out back in the day in UFC 1. And Askren's awful. So from the point of selling it, it's going to probably be the worst experience of my life watching it. But I'll be watching it because I'll be emotionally involved because I'll have paid for the pay-per-view.
But what's going to bring you to the fight? Because I'm a massive Ben Askren fan. His wrestling is amazing, and I've learned a lot from watching his wrestling. And again, like you said, his shit talking's good, so there's that aspect for the sales of it. I don't know why he wants to do this. I guess it's a payday. I guess he's going to move away from MMA and he's going to take the payday. But I don't have any interest in the opponent, Jake Paul. I don't have any interest in watching him. So that I can't see much bringing me to watch this fight.
Well, and I said before, I don't know, maybe it's just something wrong with my head, but I feel like the cynic in me is that a lot of people just want to watch Jake Paul get beat up a little bit because he's an annoying YouTube star and he doesn't mind. He's going to get the payday. He's getting the press and he's getting all the reputation for it. But when it's a guy who's off a terrible loss, as somebody from the outside looking in, and I put myself in that category, I'm like, so it's like a less than par fighter against a YouTube star. Yeah, it doesn't seem like if I miss the celebrity boxing matches or celebrity fights where it's just two random celebrities and neither of them know how to fight, and then the money goes to charity. Or for that matter, I was thinking of this earlier with what Tyson's doing now with this sort of, what are they calling it, like a miracle league or something like that, where, you know, bringing people back and doing exhibitions or allowing exhibitions on the fight. That's the thing I didn't like when one of those two brothers, the Paul brothers, fought the basketball player on the Tyson card.
Yeah.
Right. He fought an NBA player, where it's okay. So one guy's an athlete in a different area, fighting a kid who's been doing some boxing training, maybe had a fight before or something, but, you know, he's been working on that for a minute, versus an athlete who has a basketball body. Michael Jordan had a hard time, of all people, going back to basketball after he changed into a baseball body, because every single sport is different. So thinking he can just get in there and do it, that's the part I didn't like, where you've got one guy who's ready and the other guy who isn't. That's not very interesting to me. You know, Tyson versus Roy Jones was great because they're both boxers. They know what they're doing. So that mismatch in that way, I thought was really disappointing, as opposed to like the old campy TV celebrity boxing matches where neither of them know what they're doing. And that's kind of the joke to it. You know, it looks more like a Charlie Chaplin fight than anything else.
I was going to say, I mean, with most of these things, with boxing and combat sports, generally it's numbers. It's like how many people are watching, how many. I don't know the size of the crowd these YouTubers are bringing in. I mean, we know like what the biggest boxing fights are doing, but to be honest, some of those massive boxing fights, they seem pretty few and far between now. So, you know, the guys just under that who are still legit boxers, are they doing the same numbers? Or, you know, like guys that are, you know, not Mayweather, not Pacquiao, not Anthony Joshua, the guys that are just under that, are they doing anywhere near the numbers that a YouTube star is doing? Because if they're not, then that's why those YouTube stars are going to be there.
Yeah, I can't imagine they are. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, this is the thing, guys, without making us all sound like all old farts and ruining our demographic and not being down with the kids. Maybe it's just a case of we don't actually understand what celebrity or popularity is now, because, you know, it's like he's famous for what? Opening a box of trainers or sneakers on YouTube. What? That's a skill now. And it's like, oh yeah, he's got like 15 million views. And you're like, first of all, I'd want to know what you're doing in your life that you've got that amount of time to watch someone unbox something. But secondly, it's like, is that what they're famous for? And if that's what they're famous for, unfortunately, you know, reality TV's got a lot to answer for. And, you know, just because you have a platform doesn't mean you should really have a platform. And, you know, it's like Pacquiao versus, like, it's right now, is it going to be Pacquiao versus Conor McGregor, which is a great move for Conor McGregor and a great move for Manny? Or is it Manny Pacquiao versus Ryan Garcia, fighting a dude who's half his age, who's hungry as hell, who is a legit world champion? You know, like, really, what is he gonna elevate this young guy and bring him forward, or is he gonna take the money and just do a live stream? You know,
yeah, that move, the Garcia move, makes me feel like Pacquiao's entering like his Rocky Balboa phase, where he's like, I'll keep getting in the ring, but mostly just to show you how to do it and take you under my wing, which I love for Pacquiao, but otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, I mean, Garcia just, he's
another level.
Go now.
Sorry to circle back, but I just thought I'd have a quick look at some of the numbers on any of these fights. And obviously there was the fight of Jake Paul's brother, Logan Paul. I assume it's his brother, when he fought KSI. And it says, obviously they fought in the Manchester Arena. They sold out 21,000 tickets with a gate revenue of £2.7 million. And they did over 1 million pay-per-view buys. And with illegal streams and stuff, it reckons there was 2.25 million people watching. So that's some pretty ridiculous numbers.
There's a market, man. There's a market for that. Yeah, two talentless idiots, man, going for it. I don't know. I believe that KSI is quite a good rapper. I don't know. I don't know about his boxing skill, but yeah, I don't know. It's I think this is the end of days, boys. You know, if we're going to go down that route, like we just talked about, the Cater Holloway fight, amazing. Now, I really don't know how Askren and Logan Paul's going to work out, but I don't think it's going to be in contention for that level of fight of the year. Do you, boys?
Yeah, I don't know if like you're saying, Mick, is just getting older or I'm old fashioned or something. I mean, I appreciate they're gonna hustle, get paid, do what they do. That's good. And whatever your hustle is, I appreciate it. But the idea of these guys stepping in and not doing it somehow as a charitable component when it's sort of a, if it's like an exhibition style fight for this sort of thing, and they're not really trying to move through the ranks. We said before, what does it do to a young boxer, a young kid who's trying to come up, where all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but if you look like Logan Paul and you got a YouTube channel, you can also get a shot, as opposed to trying to really grind your way through the amateur leagues and really go through the whole process of it. I don't know. Some part of that is just what disappoints me. If it's an exhibition and it's because it's entertaining, then fine. But when I don't know if I even agree with myself. It starts to disappoint me where it's like, well, anybody can get in there, and as long as we make a bunch of money, they get paid. I get, obviously that's how it works, but then let's not call it boxing. Let's just call it something. Let's call it, pay-per-view sport fighting or something. It feels like it cheapens the history of that whole thing. Hey, that's just me.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we're coming into the WWE era of boxing. Sports entertainment.
Yeah, it's closer to that, right? Like Dennis Rodman jumped into professional wrestling one day just because they're like, yeah, why not? That makes sense. You know what I mean? In that sort of arena, you've got all these fun little sideshow things happening. And not to take away from Askren, obviously he's a legit fighter, and I'm not trying to undermine that, but it's almost in his defense that when we start to bring these other people into the game, just because you're big and you get a lot of viewers, again, I get that's the business of it, but maybe the martial artist in me is just disappointed when we hear so many MMA coaches lately talking about, man, the thing we really got to get back to is some of the respect and some of the roots and some of the tradition. Like, well, that's a big sprint in the wrong direction if you're letting this guy from the internet come in and
unfortunately you are legitimizing, like Ben Askren, whatever way it works out, is going to legitimize Logan Paul, because people go, oh yeah, he fought in the UFC, and you're like, yeah, he did fight in the UFC, but so did Tank Abbott, so did Ron Van Cleef. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he fought in the UFC. How did he actually do? That's the thing. But
although now you say that, I would have liked to have seen Tank Abbott versus Ron Van Cleef.
I just saw a fight with Rob Van Winkle, also known as Vanilla Ice, and he was cornered by Tank Abbott.
No way.
Full circle. There you go.
Wow. Well, was that skinny Tank Abbott? Because Tank Abbott's got some health issues at the moment, and I
don't know. It was old, but it was Vanilla Ice versus who's the older brother from Different Strokes? Had a bunch of.
Oh yeah, he fought. What are you talking about, Willis? Yeah.
Yeah.
What you talking about, Tank Abbott? Yeah. I could just imagine that halfway through.
Not the shorter of the two, the older.
Gary Oldman. Yeah.
No, the other one.
Gary Oldman. Gary Coleman.
Oh, man.
Gary Coleman.
No, Vanilla Ice did not fight Gary Coleman.
Yeah. R.I.P. Gary Coleman, man.
Okay, I think we've probably run the course on this.
I also watched the fight between Mick. I thought of you because I watched the fight between Paula Jones and Tanya Harding. Now, do you know who Paula Jones is?
No.
Okay, so she was one of the women who got Bill Clinton in trouble during his presidency for sexual harassment, right? And so he had to go to the Supreme Court for that. It was obviously it was a really, really big deal. That was the first scandal before Monica Lewinsky. And She had a celebrity charity boxing match against Tanya Harding. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole, and this was something else.
Hey, Kurt, Tanya Harding won in the 4th round by tire iron to the leg, right?
She actually won in the 4th round by a no mas, but close enough.
Was it? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, tire iron, no mas. We'll go for that. Let's quickly run through the Ryan Garcia, because we've already touched on it anyway. Turn it over to Nathan Leverton to talk about this Ryan Garcia matchup, man.
So yeah, it's been announced that Ryan Garcia is going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao in what they're saying is an exhibition fight, but we don't quite know what that means. Does this fall into the category of a freak show fight? We've got someone about a 20-year age difference, and I think Pacquiao's got somewhere in the region of 500 rounds in professional competition under his belt versus about 70. So is this still a freak show fight, or is it a legitimate boxing bout?
I'm saying it's in between, because and that's as vague as I can be, but it's the truth. it's going to be a legitimate sporting competition between two guys who are actually very good at boxing. Ryan Garcia will bring the heat. The one thing, as soon as I saw this, I thought about it, not size difference, but when you talk about like levels and levels, Jack Johnson, the great Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight boxer, fought Charles Carpentier, who was the middleweight champion at the time. And it was an exhibition bout as well. And it's famously went the way that I think all exhibition bouts should go. If someone comes out of the gates early, Carpentier came out and just put the hammer straight onto Jack Johnson. And what Jack Johnson did was he bashed him and then proceeded to pull out 3 of the teeth from his glove. So, I don't know. I think, Ryan Garcia's got everything to become a legend. You've got to kill a legend. And I don't care if it's an exhibition match or not. He's going to do it. And I don't know why Manny's doing it, actually, because out of all of the boxers that I really, really rate, Manny Pacquiao's up there. Kurt, what are you saying?
Yeah, Manny's always been one of my favorites. And, it would be cool to watch him win just because I always like to watch Manny and I'm always rooting for him. Garcia's got nothing to lose if even as an exhibition, if he doesn't pull it off, it's Manny Pacquiao. He has the ability to say, well, I didn't want to really stick it to him because he's one of my idols, or it's an exhibition, et cetera, et cetera. If he wins, he gets to have that feather in his cap. It's a strange setup. I don't see it quite as like a freak show kind of imbalance in that way. I don't think it's that bad, but yeah, it's in the neighborhood, it's in the sharing the same building at least. So I'm excited for it. I like to see those two styles together. I mean, it's more of a thing to picture. Manny in his prime would have been just fine, but picture a younger version of that and seeing those two styles line up, and how would they, kind of communicate in the ring together that way? How would that actually play out? But otherwise it feels more like Rocky 6, Rocky 7 to me in that regard, that we're letting the guy get back in the ring, do his thing, do the thing that we all enjoy watching him do against somebody who has nothing to say, but praise and adoration and respect for him. And so there's something fun about that. It's not a bitter grudge match. It's just more about the love of the sport and the art and everything. So the science of it. So I think it'll be entertaining as hell for that reason if it plays out. How about you, Nathan?
Yeah, although there's a big difference in experience and age, I don't think it's enough to put it into the freak show category. Pacquiao's only going to be, when the fight comes around, 42, 43. He's not going to be in his prime, but it does go back to older boxing fights of older champions fighting the young guys coming up. That was part of it. Not every matchup in the past was a perfect matchup. Sometimes, new guys came in and fought the old guys, and occasionally there'd be an upset, or, maybe the older guy would hold on to the titles. That's part of fighting these guys, and to be honest, it's part of boxing that guys stay in there too long and have too many fights. Not everyone's going to drop out in their prime. So I think it's still an interesting fight. I think your point that essentially it's a win-win for Ryan. Like, there's no way he wouldn't be taking this fight unless it was a good fight for him. I think he probably thinks he's going to win it, and I don't think it matters if he doesn't. It's if I had to predict, I would love to say experience tells, but that 20-year age difference, I don't know. It might be a bit too much, and it's going to be a couple of years since Pacquiao's had a fight, so I don't know where he's coming in with it. But so I'd say possibly Ryan.
All I know, boys, is I would rather see Ryan Garcia fight Manny Pacquiao than Conor McGregor fight Manny Pacquiao. I think most of us are in agreement on that one, right? At least it's a boxing match.
Now, if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, you'll know exactly who I'm on about when I say The Mountain. Even if you've not watched it, then you might already know Thor Bjornsson, who plays him, because he became famous competing in The World's Strongest Man. Now, last month he made his boxing debut against former WBO light heavyweight champion Stephen Ward, because later this year he's going up against his strongman rival Eddie Hall in a boxing match. Now, these guys are athletes, and they've been going head to head for years in those crazy challenges we love to watch on TV on a bank holiday weekend in The World's Strongest Man. But again, this is a completely different situation for both of them. So the question is Is this fight any more valid than the one we've just discussed between Jake Paul and Ben Askren?
I literally, when I see two strongmen going to box each other, I literally think to myself, this looks like when I've had far too much to drink and I'm in someone's kitchen at 3:30 on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, and we've had the conversation about who would win in a fight between Thor, like the god, and Ben Grimm, the Thing. You know what I mean? Or, oh, would Iron Man beat Batman if Batman was wearing the suit from The Dark Knight Returns? You know, like real sesh talk shit, right? And then it's like, right, so we're going to get two guys who are really good at lifting weights to box each other. Are they any good at boxing? No, but they look good and they lift heavy stuff. And boxers lift heavy stuff sometimes too. Therefore, that's it. I personally think that these celebrity fights are the death knell of boxing. Literally, it's like the fall of Rome, pugilistic style. Honestly, it's like right now, anybody could get a fight. You know, Conor McGregor started it with Manny Pacquiao. Then you had Money, what's his name? Mayweather, right? Started it down that route. Now you got Logan Paul. So you've got guys who are famous on the internet for being famous. So like, I'm waiting for the kid from Charlie Bit My Finger to have a fight. You know what I mean? Against one of the Kardashians, because literally it's like the links now are so tenuous to become a fighter. It's unreal. I have to admit, watching two absolute savage, large humans beating each other up will be quite interesting to watch. The same way that watching a car crash is going to be interesting to watch. Now, one of your friends was famously rolling around the floor with a large man who lifts weights. So you've got a bit of a personal, you've got some skin in the game here, haven't you? What's that story all about?
So yeah, my friend Josh has got a TV show with Baz Rutten where they both commentate on that, and he got the chance to have a role with Thor recently, and Thor put up the video of them having a little wrestle. He told me he almost died. That was pretty much his only comment. But fortunately, the clip that Thor put up, there was a longer video on YouTube, but the clip they put up is when he was kind of Josh was going for an armbar on him, and it looks kind of good, and it's not the rest of it where he's just being held down by the strongest man in the world. So did you think this is different? These guys fighting, Eddie Hall and Thor, is this different from, you know, the KSIs, the Jake Pauls, these YouTubers? Do you think there's a difference between it, or is it all part of the same thing?
I think it's a little bit better, but not much. So it literally is. For the Americans who are going to listen to this, you might not get this one, but it reminds me of like after the two world's strongest men beating each other up, we're going to watch monkey tennis, because it literally is like Alan Partridge. It's like we are so like, do we really need? Are we that stuck for entertainment? You know, and like my worry is this. Like, all joking aside, when somebody actually gets injured through all of this, then everyone will be crying, because right now it's dead funny, you know. So the KSI Logan Paul, like, I hate the fact that I know Logan Paul, who he is, and he's got a brother who's not as famous, and I know who he is.
I thought they were the same person for ages.
Me too.
No, really. Well,
Yeah.
you see, what I would like is, if we're going to get celebrities to beat each other up, you know, why don't we get, like, you know, Wesley Snipes fight Steven Seagal? You know, so, you know, now that would be good.
Did we have wasn't there a celebrity boxing series? Like, I vaguely remember Ricky Gervais or someone fighting on one over here.
Yeah, we had something minor here too. I don't know if it was the same one, but yeah, it was just a few fights. They've always done things like that. I mean, even, you know, going way back to like the Sinatra era, there's always been charitable things that way. I like the idea of these, like during the quarantine, you would see all these interesting new forms of entertainment come out. So in the middle of that, in that context, I think it's kind of fun. It's interesting. It gives everybody something to look at that's fresh. It's a good way to generate a bunch of money at a time when everything is stagnant or whatever. But I agree. I feel like big picture, this does a lot to hurt the sport of boxing. at a time where the pendulum for boxing has been swinging back in the correct direction. Right after, for me, a long season where it was pretty much in the tank, and it's been enjoying some new attention, some new talent, some really heavy hitters. Lomachenko is one of my favorite athletes on the planet, so I still love boxing, and there's something to watch. So seeing this, it just has me going. I think, Mick, you said the same thing. Why? What's the point? Who does this serve? I honestly think, especially with the Clark brothers, right, whichever one it is that's fighting, or maybe it's both, I don't know. I honestly think it's that thing of like looking at a car accident, but more so it's like people just want to watch those guys get hit, right? People see these annoying YouTube stars, they feel snarky about it, they're like, well, I could do that, I could be a YouTube celebrity. Let's go watch Floyd Mayweather beat the hell out of this guy for a couple of rounds. I think people just get a kick out of it.
Yeah, but what's the next stage of this evolution?
Oh, I'm not supporting it. Yeah.
Are we gonna get boxers who are gonna start rapping at each other and dissing each other? Like get the crossover where it's like boxers will be so pissed off with rappers, like robbing their thunder, that they'll start doing like 50 Cent in the club style tunes. You know what I mean? Well, I just don't know.
Or there was some kind of show on that was like getting an MMA fighter to fight your bully.
Yeah, no, we saw that.
It was like rent a fighter kind of thing, and it'd come. Sometimes they didn't do well. Sometimes that's the funniest part to that show. Not to be on a tangent, but sometimes the bully kind of won. Good luck after that happens, right? You're never going back to school now.
If we're talking about spectacle and fighting and the potential of somebody getting hurt and this will be a bad thing, how different is that to UFC 1? I mean,
yes,
come on.
Right. And obviously something evolved out of that, but isn't that the point? Because can anything evolve out of this, or are we just going backwards?
The difference to me between this and the YouTube celebrities doing it is that it is two world-class athletes. It's two of the strongest men on the planet.
Yes.
That's the difference. That doesn't mean it's going to make it a better boxing bout than two YouTubers doing it. They could easily be better boxers, but the freak show aspect of two guys weighing 160 kilos who are the strongest guys on the planet fighting each other is interesting. Like, I mean, how many times have we talked about strength versus technique and talked about strength and its relationship to fighting? And we're about to see two of the strongest guys in the world fight. That is interesting.
Yeah, well, the only thing, I think the only way that this could be like really improved upon is if we could get like Antonio Inoki over from Japan and basically get Eddie Hall or whoever wins, so either Thor or Eddie Hall, to fight like Jimmy Cranky or someone, or a midget, just really throw it into the mix there. Like that's the way. That's because it to me personally, I look at it and it's bread and circuses. It literally is like a right gong show. I have to admit, as Nathan said, to see two absolute monsters go at it, it literally is going to be like, Godzilla versus Mothra. You know what I mean? It's going to be like a Japanese, like the only way that it could go any better would be like, some Japanese schoolgirls would rock up. You know what I mean? It'd be good fun.
Nathan, do you think that the people who are going to watch this, or the people who watch, the YouTube and YouTube kid and a fighter actually go at it, do you think they're already folks that are watching fights all the time? Or do you think this brings new people into the audience sphere for this kind of sport? Does it actually help the audience grow, or is it mostly the same group of people kind of chasing their own tail?
Well, when I watched the Thor exhibition bout from the other day, they were saying that 500,000 people had tuned in to watch it. So I don't think that's just pure boxing fans tuning in to watch that. So it's definitely bringing an audience. Whether they're going to get much of an exhibition, a demonstration of boxing, and want to take it up from that, I don't know. But I mean, look at the rise of white collar boxing and how huge that's been. There is an entry level for people to get into it. Maybe next time I run a white collar event, there will be people coming in because they watched Thor do it. Hopefully it won't be all the bodybuilders and big weightlifters and I won't be able to match them up, but we'll see.
Thor played the mountain, doesn't he? So
yeah.
He's like, imagine like the winner of this fights Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would pay anything pay-per-view to watch just like a battle royale Grand Prix style, all the,
Oh man,
the Hound and everybody in there. And no matter what, I'm still giving it to Arya at the end of the day.
I have to admit, after the events of the very troubling times we're in at the moment, nothing shocks me anymore. I'm literally waiting for the Andy Kaufman Intergender Wrestling Championship of the world. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm waiting for. I don't know, Nathan, you might be able to back me up on this. Logan Paul actually asked Amanda Nunes for a match, and she accepted it.
Oh my God.
And I tell you something, Nunes would kick his ass. I'm telling you.
I heard that
I would watch out.
She's called him out and said she would take him, and that he said, "Why would I do that? No one even knows who she is."
Oh,
which really makes me want to put the two of them in a ring together. And that's what I mean.
Yes.
People want to watch that kid get hit, right? For better or for worse. That's, I think, what it comes down to.
I'm telling you something, man. I want to see her go like full Tina Turner in the movie. you know, like Angela Bassett style, man.
But the thing is, Conor's done the same. People tune in. I mean, I remember people said about Chris Eubank being one of the biggest draws because half the people were there to see him win and half of the people were there to see him lose. And Conor did the same thing. Some of these YouTube guys are going to pull in big numbers because of those same reasons.
Well, so to that, and what do you say then to the would-be up-and-coming challenger, the kid who's coming up in the neighborhood? Not to be a stereotype, but he's trying to use boxing to get out the neighborhood, or he's always loved it, or he comes from his father was a boxer and he wants to do this. He dreamt of being champion. And now just because this guy's got however million followers, he gets to get in the ring and this kid's still just trying to slug it out in the gym. Do you think that demoralizes that effort for those kids?
Maybe, but what he should do is he just turn around and say to the kid, listen, man, move yourself over to Reykjavik, start lifting some weights, get huge, and we'll stick you in a boxing match soon. Don't worry about the ring craft, son. You'll be fine. Eat steak and take some of those performance enhancing. I don't know what they call them these days. It's a spectacle. It is what it is. It literally is. It is vitamins indeed. Yeah. I'll tell you what it is. This literally is the equivalent of Muhammad Ali fight. He was going to fight Wilt Chamberlain. I don't know if you remember that. And they went to the press conference, and Wilt Chamberlain, so he's a basketball player, and he's like, well, I'm an athlete too, and I've got this long reach, and I'll do this. And he starts trying to talk some real trash talk, like unbelievable to Ali. And he's going, blah, blah, blah. And he goes that, and they said, Muhammad Ali, what would you like to say? And he just looked him up and down. He went, timber. And that was it. If you want to trash talk, that's the way to do it. But people always want to see giants fight each other. Come on, man. I've seen enough Japanese movies to see the big robot rock up at the end, man. I think it's going to be mad. I'm quite enjoying it, actually. I think it's going to be good fun. All I predict is some large man's going to get hurt, or maybe both of them.
I don't think we're going to see some like high-level boxing, but I think it is going to be a spectacle. It is going to be an event, and I can't wait. I'm really excited for it. I've been watching their training videos. I watched this fight that Thor just had with a lot of interest, seeing where he's at now, and then I'll be able to see where he progresses. I think it was an invaluable experience for him to be in there and actually get in a ring in front of some people with a pro boxer, even just have a move around. I can't wait. I'm really excited for September.
Yeah, same. I think it'll be interesting. I can't imagine it's going to be that great of a fight comparatively. I'm curious to see how long their lungs are going to last. But as it always goes, I mean, one good shot can do a lot. And with two guys that big, one good shot would be a hell of a thing to watch.
And you can watch Thor Bjornsson take on Eddie Hall in what will be the heaviest boxing match ever. It's slated for September 2021. That's it for this episode of World of Martial Arts. If you've enjoyed it, please share it with someone else who you know will enjoy it. You've been listening to Kurt Cornwell, Mick Tully and Nathan Leverton chatting away, while Will Henshaw and myself, Ant McGinley, did all the button pushing. And if you can't wait for the next episode, don't worry, we've got loads of great content for you to look at online at worldofmartialarts.tv.
Social Podcast Network.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.